Hello friends at home. This is part 2 of the math video that I began this morning. So hopefully you've already watched part 1 where the whole class was in the room and I did the display on the screen with the part whole. And then we started working here in our math books. We left off, we were on this page here, page 12, and we left off number 7. And so I cut the video short because I wanted a chance to explain it in a little more detail to you without having to keep stopping to answer questions in the room that you might not have been able to hear anyway. So if we look at number 7, some of the kids said, wow, that problem looks backwards. Well, it's not really backwards. Remember, I told you when we write an equation, whatever's on one side of the equal sign has to balance or be the same with what's on the other. And sometimes we will have our number sentence with the addends on this side and the sum on that side. Other times we will flip-flop it and we will put the addends on this side and our sum on that side. As long as both sides have the same value or equal the same amount, both of them are correct, okay? So looking at number 7, they have it set up where we are saying, let me get this erased here, some number that we don't know, that's going to be our whole, some number is going to equal 5 plus 3. So 5 and 3 are the parts. Think about if it was frogs and fish swimming in a pond. 5 fish are on one side of the pond, and 3 frogs are hopping on the other. Altogether, if I were to count these up, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So part, whole, part, whole. So 8 is the same or equal to 5 plus 3. Looking at the next problem here, number 8 says 1 plus 7 equals some number that we don't know yet. So if I write that out, that's 1 plus 7 is equal to some whole amount. So if we draw out our two parts, our first part will be this first number. That's 1. Our second part will be the second number. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, I can count up how many there are all together in this piece. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And my total, or my whole, or my sum, 1 plus 7 equals 8. Now at home, you should be following along and filling these in your book. Looking at number 9 right here. Number 9 says 2 plus 5 equals some number we don't know. So these are my parts, 2 and 5. In my garden, my blue flowers, my yellow flowers. They're the two parts. So if I were to draw my rectangle here and break it into two parts, the first part has 1, 2. And the second part has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those parts together, if we count them up, equal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So altogether, 2 plus 5 equals 7. Now we're going to go down to number 10, which is the first story problem or word problem on our page today. And this one says, there are 8 books on a shelf. So let's pretend that this is our bookshelf. This is our whole part, okay? This is the whole piece. And there are 8 books on this shelf. It says there are 3 math books and the rest of the books are science. So if I draw my two parts here, of all 8 books, 1, 2, 3 of them are math books. All the rest, which we'll put over here, are science books. So we're trying to figure out how many science books are there. Well, if I know there are 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Whoops, let me get so you can see that. I know there are 8 books altogether, and 1, 2, 3 of them, 1, 2, 3 of them are math books. Then the rest of them will be my other part. So let's count how many there are left over, and that will tell us this missing part. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 science books on the shelf. So when we write that over here as a number sentence, remember it isn't backwards, it's just flipped around. We'll have our total or our whole here, which is 8. And that is equal to our 3 math books, so you'll put your 3 here, plus our 5 science books. So then down here, the sentence says there are blank science books on the shelf. On that line, you should put this number 5 to show there are 5 science books on that shelf with 8 books altogether. All right. Down at the bottom, the right about it, we'll talk about it. It says, is an addend a part or a whole? Well, the addends are the 2 numbers we bring together, so those are the parts. And then it says, is the sum a part or a whole? Well, the sum is the total, so that's a whole, okay? All right, let's go now to the top of the next page. And this is just a review of what we've been talking about, so I won't spend a lot of time there, but let's get to the more practice part, okay? It says here, in fact, let me move this down so we can see more of the page. There we go. We're going to, first we'll go through and figure out all of the answers to these addition sentences. Then we will come down here and we will connect them to the matching parts, okay? So this first one they've done for you. They said that 3 plus 4 equals 7. So you can just trace that 7. Now we'll look here at 5 plus 2. So I'm going to draw out my rectangle with 2 parts, and I'm going to draw 5 for my first part right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I'm going to draw 2 for my second part right here. 1, 2. Now to figure out this sum or this total, I count up the whole amount. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So all together, I have 7 for that answer. So here you can put 7. Now before we start matching up our dominoes, let's look at number 3. For number 3, I'm going to draw out my 2 parts. So I take my rectangle, break it into 2 pieces or 2 parts. And I have 2 for my first part. So in my first part, I'll draw 1, 2. For my second part, I have 6. So it's 2 plus 6. So this 6 is my second part. So in this box, I'll draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, if I count them up all together, the whole thing, to get my 2 parts equal a whole, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So all together for that one, we have 8. So for your sum for this one, you can put the number 8. Now the next step, now that we have our answers here, you should have 7, 7, and 8. Now we're going to connect them to the matching dominoes. And the first one, you can see this little dashed line here, they did for you. So you can take your pencil and just trace that line. Now the next one, number 2, we're looking for the domino that has 5 and 2. Well, let's see. This domino has 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so it's not that one. This domino has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 2. So you can draw a line, boop, boop, straight up and down to connect 5 plus 2 equals 7. Now this last one is probably a gimme, but even with gimmes, we always count them first to make sure before we just assume. So we're looking for a domino that says 2 plus 6, and this is the last domino we have, so let's make sure it says 2 plus 6. I have 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it is a match. So you can draw a line from this domino over to number 3 to show that that is the matching parts for that equation. All right, now let's go down here. Looking at number 4, it says you are now going to draw the dots yourself. So for this one, they've now written the problem up and down instead of side to side. It means the same thing. I often say it's like if you were to write your name. Well, my name is Mrs. Bragg. I could write it like this, Mrs. Bragg. Or I could write it like this, Mrs. Bragg. That's going to get cut off on your screen, but you get the idea. So we can write it up and down or side to side. It doesn't change my name. Well, with math equations, we can write them up and down or side to side, and it doesn't change anything. So instead of saying 0 plus 8 equals, now they've changed it, and they're saying 0 plus 8 equals. But it means the same thing. So on our domino, we'll draw our first part here, our second part here, and then the total will give us our whole, which we'll write in here. So the first one you should draw 0, no dots at all. And in the bottom one we should draw 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All together we have 8. Excellent. Now let's look at number 5. Here we have 4 plus 3 equals some number we don't know yet. In our little two-part domino, the first part will go here, the second part will go here. So in the first one, we'll draw 1, 2, 3, 4. And you should be doing this in your book at home. And then in the second box, we'll draw 1, 2, 3. Now to get our sum or our total, we will count them up all together to see how many we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you can put number 7 for that answer. 4 plus 3 is 7. Part, part, whole. Let's do number 6 together, and then I will have you finish up the other side of this page on your own for more practice. So number 6 says 3 plus 5 equals some number we don't know. I put my domino here, and remember, first part, 1, 2, 3. Second part, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Down here is my sum or my whole, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 3 plus 5 equals 8. Part, part, whole. Boys and girls, I hope that you've enjoyed this lesson. I hope that it has helped you to understand a little bit about part, part, whole addition. And we will continue to work on this. So if it's still feeling a little confusing, don't worry. We've got plenty of more lessons to do. Go ahead and go now to your next page and try and complete these problems on your own. If you need to ask Mom and Dad for a little help, that's okay. But just know that we will keep working on this together, and it will start to feel easier and easier. Have a blessed afternoon. Bye.